like Justin Gaethje, he's older than that lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker.
That's true.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple off his ma. You know what I mean?
Okay, strong statements about Dan Hooker there.
He said that, right, which is a wild line. He was just having a laugh. And I know a lot of people are shocked by this. And I know a lot of people said that's out of bounds. It's off limits. Have a bit of respect. You're a trash human being. I mean, all you got to do is have a look on Twitter and some YouTube comments. People are really going after Paddy for this. And obviously Dan Hooker came out with a wild response as well. We'll get to that in a second. But just on Paddy here, you got to remember, he's a lad from Liverpool where they do have a great sense of humour, but also, you know, it can be a little cutting, it can be a little bit dark, and he was speaking to another English guy. Now, as I say, I'm not defending the fact that he brought up Dan Hooker's mom, right? He should not have done that. But in the context, right, it wasn't that bad. He never said anything too bad. He was basically just talking about the grappling of Dan Hooker. Now, should he have mentioned his mother? No, absolutely not.
Paddy Pimblett has finally crossed the line with Justin Gaethje. And this time, it isn't just trash talk, it's personal. What began as a careless insult has now turned into one of the most uncomfortable build-ups in the lightweight division.
Such a crazy ride. There's so many variables that are constantly changing and adjusting and shifting, and, you know, Islam going up, Ilya not fighting in January. You know, you could have never predicted these things. So, you know, I've been I've been trying to speak it into the ether for a long time now. I'm going to fight in January. I was going to beat Ilya, and then I was going to fight Max on the White House card, but things are shifting and still going in the right direction.
I don't train MMA at all. I do boxing classes, wrestling classes, because when the training camp comes, I try to mix it up and polish everything that I have been able to learn, everything that worked for me in wrestling and boxing. I want to develop all the time my knowledge. I want to get better all the time. And I can get better if I only go and train MMA. I need to learn new techniques like in BJJ. You never end up learning. One thing is what you know, and the other is what you do with what you know.
Who do you think should be next for Ilya?
Who should be next for Ilya? 55 has always been so cloudy at the top. Maybe Gaethje. I think him going to 170 to fight Islam, if Islam wins, is a stretch. You know, Islam's big, man. I've never seen Ilya in person, but he seems smaller. I know, obviously, he can knock anyone out. I do think if they fight, Ilya can knock anybody out from 45 to 170. He has the skills, the power, the technique, and but we've just never seen him in there with somebody that big and somebody with that caliber of wrestling. But I think he should defend the 55 title a few times before that's talked about. We'll see.
Paddy Pimblett recently mocked Dan Hooker in brutal fashion, claiming he couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag. And while the comment was aimed at Hooker, it landed directly in Justin Gaethje's crosshairs, because Gaethje didn't laugh. He didn't brush it off, and he didn't stay quiet. Instead, Justin Gaethje publicly stepped in to back Dan Hooker, calling out Paddy's mouth, his resume, and the way he's been fast-tracked into big fights without paying the same dues. From that moment on, this matchup stopped feeling like hype and started feeling like bad blood.
No war. I've never had a war. I've never had a proper war where we're both cut and bloodied up. I'd love a fight like Adesanya Gastelum. I'd love a fight like that. But I don't think Justin Gaethje is the man to give me it. I just don't think. I love biting down on my gum shield and swinging punches. You never know, I might end up doing that to him. But I just can't see him getting past the third round. The only way he beats me is a big overhand right or a big left hook. I genuinely can't. I don't see anywhere he's better than me, even on the feet. I know he's an amazing striker, but so am I. So I just don't see anywhere he beats me.
Paddy wants to fight Ilya. Ilya wants to fight Paddy. Yeah. That's what they want, but I'm here to fuck it up again. I'm going to do the same thing I did for the Khabib and Tony thing. I'm going to fuck this up. Paddy Pimblett, I mean, this guy's got a ton of momentum, you know, a ton of confidence, and those are two variables that are tough to beat. I'm going to have to really steal that momentum early, and I know he's going to make mistakes, so I have to be ready to take advantage of these mistakes. Such a crazy sport, but Paddy Pimblett is a very popular guy right now, and it's going to do great things. I'm going to beat Paddy, I'm going to beat Ilya, and then I got to get Max back.
How do you not be a fan of Justin Gaethje? That is your favourite fighter's favourite fighter. Everyone loves watching Justin Gaethje fight, but every one of his fights are entertaining and he puts himself in a war, but when you watch him as a fan, it's unbelievable. But then when you break him down to watch him as an opponent, you see a lot of holes in his game and want to exploit them. I'd love to have a scrap with him. I would have. In all my years of fighting, including my amateur fights, 35 fights, I've never really had a war. So it'd be nice to finally get one with the king of them, but I don't think it'll get that far.
The tension has been building quietly, but now it's boiling over. Paddy Pimblett has leaned into the chaos, standing by his comments and doubling down on the idea that Gaethje represents the old guard, tough, respected, but beatable. That confidence has infuriated fans who see Justin Gaethje as one of the most battle-tested fighters in the division, because stylistically, this fight is terrifying for both men. Gaethje brings relentless pressure, savage leg kicks, and a willingness to turn every exchange into a war of attrition.
It would be nice to finally get one with the king of them, but I don't think it'll get that far. I think I'll finish.
Were you a Justin Gaethje fan prior to any thought of fighting him?
I am a Justin Gaethje fan, not was, I am.
Yeah.
And anyone who is an MMA fan and isn't a Justin Gaethje fan isn't an MMA fan. Like, I always say, he's your favourite fighter's favourite fighter. He's one of my favourite fighters, one of the best fighters that you can watch. And the fact that I'm now getting in there against him is what dreams are made of.
And he's made no secret that he wants to keep this on the feet. We know his knockout power, but your submission skills are so slick. You want to take it to the ground?
Oh, okay. I'll keep it on the feet with him.
Yeah.
It might come as a surprise to you. Paddy the Baddy says that he's a weird fighter. He knows he's a weird fighter, and you can't bring anybody into training camp to mimic him, that he wrestles weird and he grapples weird. Do you see Paddy that way? I don't see Paddy that way. That's not an insult. It wouldn't be a compliment if he was weird. It's not an insult that he's not weird. I don't see him that way. I don't see him as a stranger. It makes me want to go back and rewatch some Paddy fights and see what weird things did he do. And there are weird guys. Weird just meaning unique. Wonder Boy's got an extremely weird style. Lyoto Machida had a very unique style. Paddy the Baddy believes that he has a weird and unique style, and I'm just wondering where. Like, there's been guys that we've seen that have come along on the ground. Over time, there was something that got introduced to us known as the rubber guard. But I don't see that from Paddy. I don't see a weirdness. I don't see something that Gaethje isn't familiar with or that he hasn't dealt with before. Now, is it a good idea to stand up with Justin Gaethje if you're Paddy Pimblett? So many people say no. But I'm not certain that we know that answer is no. I'm not certain. I find it lazy. If I'm to use a word, I'll use the word lazy. I find it lazy when a fight analyst reverts back to 1993 and starts talking about a stand-up guy versus a ground guy. I just don't know that that's true with anybody. I don't know if there's anyone on the roster that you could match up with anybody else on the roster. And you could say, okay, if it's stand-up, for sure, this athlete's going to win. If it goes to the ground, for sure, this athlete's going to win. I don't know if it's like that anymore.
Thrives when opponents panic, when footwork breaks down, when damage accumulates. If this fight stays standing for long stretches, the danger level for Paddy skyrockets. But that's exactly where Pimblett believes he has the edge. Paddy's entire game is built around chaos, scrambles, sudden grappling exchanges, and fast transitions that turn small mistakes into fight-ending moments. And while Justin Gaethje has improved his defensive wrestling, he's still most vulnerable when fights lose structure, which is exactly where Paddy feels most comfortable. That contrast is what makes this matchup explode with intrigue in the lightweight division.
English. You want to talk to me like the man-to-man? You said something about me. I went to your country. I slapped your face. I get at the wasting win. I walk like a king in your street.
Are you talking English?
What you did? What you
Is that
did,
English?
Man? Yeah, of course I do.
Speak English for the people.
Shut up.
Not German or Spanish like you're from.
I'm talking in English and fuck you in English y que te follen en español.
Yeah, Espanol because you're Spanish.
Yeah.
You pretend to be Georgian when you're not. You were born in Germany and you live in Spain.
Try to do it
you were born in Germany and you live in Spain. You're a little mongrel.
Shut up.
That's what you are. You're a little mongrel.
Shut up. If not, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to crash your face right here.
Do it then, you little fart.
You have another question?
Do it. Do it then, you little What? Do it? Do it? Come on, do something then. Do something, stand up. What'll you do? You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing, you little fart. Go and sit back down. Sit back down, you little puta.
Fuck. Everything you talk.
You little mushroom. You little chorizo, you Spanish sausage.
Have you allowed yourself to think what a fight with Ilya looks like?
Yeah, I think I beat him up as well. You know what I mean? There's weight classes for a reason. And if he wants to fight me at 155, it'll get seriously messy on his face. No, Ilya's going through a lot of stuff and wish him nothing but the best with it, know what I mean? That's nothing to do with us fighting, it's nothing to do with being in the cage. So all that around family life, I hope he does finally come back and get in the cage. I want to
cage with Paddy. What kind of a chance do you give Paddy if he gets that Ilya Topuria fight?
Paddy is better than most will give him credit for. His octagon presence was on point. He knew where he needed to be. He was completely okay with getting taken down that first round. He kept great distance, kept me off with the kicks. Topuria being a little bit shorter than me, but great punching power. I think Paddy would have a good chance to keep it past a round or two because he's not going to engage as much as Oliveira did. But ultimately, it's definitely a mismatch. And that's just because we're talking Ilya Topuria. I think Ilya Topuria is easily the most talented guy, not just in our division, but I think in the entire sport.
What about Ilya? Because he's moving up to 155, right?
Yeah, always.
And you guys have a long history.
Yeah.
That press conference 2 years ago was one of the most fucking entertaining press conferences of all time. Your chirps, like calling him like a fucking chorizo, sausage and shit.
That's what he should have changed his name to.
That's funny.
He's changed his nickname to a shit nickname, hasn't he? Like Legend or something.
Yeah.
Should have changed it to El Chorizo. Would have been well funnier.
What do you make of his like involvement? Because that was a long time ago, and now he's kind of fucking leveled up like crazy,
he has.
right?
But we always knew he was a good fighter. Know what I mean? Like that's sort of what pisses me off about him. Even though I hate him and I think he's a bellend, like I wouldn't lie and say he's a shit fighter because he's not. But that's what he says about me, and it made me laugh when he said, what did he say? He called me fat. That's like, lad, you can't make your weight division anymore that you are champion of, and you're trying to call me fat. He's a midget, lad. He's tiny. He's smaller than Michael Chandler. You'll see what I do to Michael Chandler next Saturday night when I dismantle him, and it'll be a very similar game plan to beat Ilya. He's small. He walks forward, swinging shots. I'll kick him up and down the octagon, and I'll either knock him out or submit him. Like that fight's there down the line. No, 100%. That fight's got to happen. That's a fight that you can have as a pay-per-view main event with no title on the line.
That gives me like chills just thinking about that. The press conferences and shit. That'd be crazy.
The press. They'd have to do a world tour for that, like they did with Aldo McGregor. That'd be fucking hilarious. Yeah, Ilya, you know, it's there anytime. Know what I mean? Anytime, lad.
It seems like they don't know what to do because Ilya moved up. I don't know if Islam wants to fight him or not. So like he's looking for an opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like this fight is really going to decide a lot of stuff in that whole division.
Yeah, it is. As I've said it a few times, like the old guard of the lightweight division, they're all on the way out. You've got Chandler who's 38. You've got Dustin, Justin and Charles who are all 35 and older. I think even Danaher might be 35, Moicano's 38, Dariush is 38. In the next 2 or 3 years, the top 10 is going to look completely different. The only person in the top 10 I can think of who's under 35 is Arman Sarukian. He's just a little posh boy who's had everything handed to him on a silver platter by his dad.
Do you think he actually got injured or no? Or what do you think happened?
No, he's a little bitch ass. That's what you are, Arman. Little boy.
I was confused too because, we had him on the pod that week too. And then, I don't know, he was doing videos too with Nina drama. He was like wrestling and shit.
Yeah. And then he was doing them videos where he flips forward on his neck.
Right.
And then he's saying that he's got a bad back. Dana said, didn't he? It was like Dana shot him down in that interview. I was like, whoa, that's heavy that. You don't want the boss saying that about you. But because he got asked, didn't he, is Arman still number one? Right. And he was like, no, he's going to have to go back to the...
As fight week gets closer, it starts to feel more and more personal. This isn't just about rankings anymore, it's about respect. It's about proving who truly belongs in the top tier and who's been talking too much, too soon. Justin Gaethje sees Paddy as untested. Paddy sees Gaethje as beatable.
I would not have thought that Max Holloway standing with Justin Gaethje would have been a prosperous idea. And I know that was popular opinion. The majority of you were with me at that time. And it wasn't just who was a better boxer or the X's and O's. It also had to do with a size factor. Max being a 45-pounder, moving up to Gaethje, a big 55-pounder. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. We don't know as much as we think. And it feels like every Saturday we get reminded of that, but then when the weekdays, right? Every weekend we get reminded of that, and then during the weekdays we completely forget it. I don't know that I think that Paddy's weird. I don't know that he has a style with his takedowns or on the ground that is wildly unique. He's really good. He's really good at what he does. But is he strange? Is he awkward? Is that something that Gaethje has to deal with, just by example? Does Gaethje have to worry about getting into shape and getting down to weight and getting his left and right hand sharp and stretching his body and sleeping well and knowing how to do jiu-jitsu and sharpening up his double and his takedown, and he's got to deal with this guy that's really awkward and weird? I don't think so. I don't see it that way. Can Paddy strike with Justin? Probably. We don't have evidence of that. Like we don't have some great fight or two or three that ended up stand-up battles that Paddy ended up winning or dominating, but there is times in fights when something happens that you didn't expect would happen. That's where things can unravel very quickly. Maybe you're not overly confident you can win the fight, but you do believe that you can get a takedown when you need one. And you go out there and all of a sudden this guy who's not known for great wrestling or not known for great takedown defense, all of a sudden he's stopping your best attacks. And now you're stuck on your feet, which is not what you envisioned happening. And I have seen moments of rounds, I've even seen entire rounds, where at the conclusion the judges have gone against Paddy and they were largely stand-up battles. However, right, I mean, the Gordon fight just comes to mind. We're getting the takedown was at a premium. Find out that Paddy's got a hurt knee, but that's all subsequent. It doesn't change the fact that takedowns were at a premium. It doesn't change the fact that Paddy thought he could go out and get on top of a guy, and it didn't happen, and he ends up stuck on his feet, and you, the viewer, saw him.
And pressure with like a variety of kicks that do a little bit more damage there. And that to me is the way that's going to work. And then once his hands are down, or it's a little bit later in the fight, or he's injured or whatever, he just doesn't move as much. Then you launch into your takedowns, level change, clinch your way in, whatever the setup ends up being, where he can't move and is therefore just not able to have the same kind of, diligent defense that would be necessary to thwart that kind of attack. I think that's what you're going to see from Paddy, if in fact he is successful. But if he's not, part of that is how you maintain range. And if you don't maintain range well, like I've seen kickboxing instructors be like, you should only throw kicks if they're neutral or you're moving forward, not if they're pressuring into you. But Paddy has gotten away from that at times. Could that cost him here? That's one coach's rule. I'm not saying every coach is quite like that, but you get the idea. Like how you manage that range, you will live or die based on that. It's just I tend to think that's the most important part of this equation.
So just going back to Justin Gaethje's grappling, he's kind of neglected that part of his game for a while now, but he does have a pedigree in wrestling, NCAA. I think he placed 7th in 2010 in one of the divisions. His takedown defense is still decent, but it's going to be, Paddy Pimblett trying to get his back, catch him in transition. How much of an improvement, or how much do you think he can prepare for something like that, sort of not really paying that much attention to that part of his game over this camp? Do you think him and Trevor Whitman are going to be able to put some stuff together where if they do end up in that position, they're going to be able to get out of there safely? Or do you think this is a part of a game that needs to be nourished and worked on for longer than just a training camp to really be able to survive against such a dangerous grappler like Paddy Pimblett?
Yeah, if it was as easy as just doing it very late in your career, then they would just do it that way, but it's not, you know. Like, for folks who don't know, if you place inside the top 8 in your respective weight class, the national championships in the United States, that is considered All-American. You have to get somewhere inside the top.
That clash of belief systems is what turns fights into moments. The UFC knows it. The fans feel it. And neither man is backing down. Because when trash talk stops being funny and starts getting specific, when insults hit training partners and reputations, there's no walking it back. This fight isn't simmering anymore. It's ready to detonate. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje isn't just a stylistic puzzle, it's a collision of eras, egos, and identities. And when the cage door shuts, only one of them gets to talk.